Welcome back. So the next few videos, I'll cover a really important topic, which is how do we make decisions in our JavaScript code. And the first step is learning about something called Boolean logic. So if you can recall back to the first few videos, we talked about a data type in JavaScript called Booleans. And Booleans are very simple. There's only two possible options for a Boolean value, true or false. So Boolean logic is simply writing statements that evaluate to be true or false. And eventually, we'll use these statements to actually run certain parts of our code if something is true, and some other parts of our code if something else is false. So these statements can be things like a user is logged in, that's true or false. But it could also be something as simple as if subtotal is greater than $10,000. And those evaluate to be true or false, and we do something with them in our code. So the first thing we have to start with are comparison operators. And comparison operators are things that most of us use all the time in our day-to-day life. It's how we compare two values to one another, and it's how JavaScript does the same thing. So this chart here goes over all the comparison operators. It assumes that x is equal to 5, and you can plug in 5 wherever you see x. So let's start with the simplest one, greater than. So x is greater than 10. Is 5 greater than 10? No. So that evaluates to be false. Next, there's greater than or equal to. 5 greater than or equal to 5. That is true. Next, we have less than and less than or equal to. You can see that we plug in 5. 5 is not less than negative 50, so it evaluates to be false. 5 is less than or equal to 100, so this evaluates to be true. The next four are a little bit different. They cover equality and non-equality. So it's how we check if x is exactly equal to the number 5, or x is equal to the string 5, or x is anything but the number 20. It's how we basically check for equality. One thing you'll notice, though, is that there are two ways to check for equality. So there's one with 2 equal signs and one with 3 equal signs. Likewise, there are two ways to check for non-equality, one with 1 equal sign and an exclamation point, and another one with an exclamation point and 2 equal signs. So they both kind of go together in pairs. We'll start by talking about double equals here. Notice that x double equals the string 5. So x is the number 5, x double equals the string 5 is true. But if we do x triple equals the string 5, that's false. And the reason for that is on the next slide here. It has to do with something called type coercion. So when we use double equals, it performs type coercion. And what that means is it basically takes the two numbers or the two strings or the two variables, whatever they are, and it tries to turn them into a similar type so that it can compare them. So in this example, x is a number 99, and when we double equals x with the string 99, that is true because JavaScript performs type coercion. It tries to get them to be the same format and then compare the value. Versus triple equals does not perform type coercion, and it cares not only about value, so not only that they both say 99, but that one is a string and one is a number, which is not valid triple equals. So as a rule of thumb, you should always use triple equals. It's much safer, it's much more specific. And as another example, you can see here if we have null, var y is equal to null, null double equals undefined, it's actually true. Even though they are very different values, they're not the same thing. Double equals considers that to be true, and triple equals considers that to be false. So the last thing that I want to do here is show a few interesting cases of using double equals, and it basically behaves in ways you definitely would not expect. So this is just another warning of why you should not use it, but it also reveals a few of the underlying quirks in JavaScript. So we can take the Boolean true and double equals the string 1, and that's actually true. However, if we do that with any other string number, so if I say true, so just to show you, true equals 1, that is true, but true equals 12 is false. Likewise, I say 0 double equals false, and that is true. Null double equals undefined, as we just saw, is true, and probably the weirdest one is not a number, double equals not a number, is actually false. Even though they look like exactly the same thing, It's one of the weirdest quirks in JavaScript, the way that not a number is implemented. It is actually not comparable to not a number. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is how do we actually chain some of these together and make those more complex statements that we talked about earlier.